this is our webinar that we are holding with Don Whittle from the ICF. A lot of you who are on here may know me. Maybe I'm your admissions coach. Some of you might have seen me on like our Facebook page or the iPEC community. My name is Grace Drummond, and I am one of the internal admissions coaches here at iPEC. I've been here since 2010, and I've always been in the admissions department. Started out as an admissions assistant. Now I've been an admissions coach for, 6 years, almost 7. So as I mentioned, with me is Don Whittle. Don is an ICF membership director, and he's been with the ICF for, 17 years?
14 years.
Since 2007, that's right, okay. But prior to that, you were with the Olympic sports for 17 years. Oh. My gosh, that's crazy. And you went from working in that space to this space. So tell us a little bit about yourself while we're waiting for people to chime in and ask some questions.
So I've been here at ICF for 14 years, actually after a career working for the United States Olympic Committee, traveling the world and doing a lot more than I ever thought I was going to do, and got into coaching because it seemed to be something that really spoke to me. It's to me a real transformational process. I love it, love all the members, love seeing the growth of the profession on a worldwide scale. And just happy to be here today to tell you a little bit more about ICF if you have any specific questions.
Nice. So just give us like a broad overview. What does the ICF do?
Sure. So my ICF is, primarily it's a membership organization of 43,000 members and over about 140 countries worldwide. We also have a credentialing department, which there are a total number of around 37,000, maybe closer to 38,000 credential holders worldwide in just as many countries as members. So that's really taken off in a huge way. And we also are now just introducing coaching in organizations, which is had about a year of start time there, where we're finding more and more coaches are coming up through organizations, working in organizations to bring a real coaching culture into the workplace. And I will say the global workplace, because it is expanding in a big way in that space. And we also have a foundation, and there's a couple other pieces I'm going to leave out and not by choice. But
I get it.
It's a great organization.
Constantly.
Training. We accredit training programs here. And I think that's really important as well, because iPEC is one of the certainly premier training programs known worldwide. And we are in, so what we do as a profession is accredit that training program to make sure it meets all of our standards. It's taught in accordance to ICF core competencies, code of ethics, and meets our definition of coaching. So
love it.
Yeah.
So just like individual coaches that want to get credentialed, we as a company, we have to keep our accreditation up too. So there are things that we do so we can make sure that we meet the high standards of the ICF as well, right?
Correct. Yes.
Excellent.
No question.
I know as an admissions coach, I have conversations every single day where people are thinking about, why should I get an ICF credential? Can you share a little bit about the importance of that and the value it could bring to somebody?
Sure. Well, I can give you a little bit more than that. And ICF is, we also are in this research space, which we partner with PricewaterhouseCoopers, have done years and years of global coaching studies. And the most recent really took a look at, how much coaches can earn. And I'm not going to get into all that per se, but we also did an awareness study even before the 2020 global coaching study with them. And they basically looked at 30 countries where there's a lot of ICF members, and determined through a whole process of interviews that took place over a period of time that 66% of the world. Now, this is 2017, so this is going back. We're going to repeat this study again, which is going to be really fabulous, because I think the numbers are just going to explode in terms of percentages. 66% of the world knew what coaching was, our definition of coaching, which is a huge leap from even the prior time we had run that study, which was probably 4 years before, and I can't quote you the exact number. So we're really hopeful this next time there's going to be even more awareness of what coaching is. And I can tell you from my vantage point here at ICF, because I get to kind of reach out and touch some of the members who come through the system, to let you know they're from every different corporation, every different background, all diversity. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing that, in terms of who's coming in and participating today. And I got to believe that's the same at iPEC as well.
Definitely. Different backgrounds, different age groups.
Yeah.
We get people that are right out of high school, some that are right out of college, a lot of millennials, a lot of people that are looking for the next thing for themselves. They might be at that retirement age where they're like, I have so much more to give. And coaching might be that best next step. I mean, the oldest person that I know that enrolled in iPEC at the time was 84.
Oh my gosh.
At the time of his enrollment.
That's
this
awesome.
is something that you can do essentially forever, because it's something that if it brings you joy, you know, and you love what you do, it doesn't even feel like work. So I really appreciate you sharing that with me. Another question that's come in: what does the coach knowledge assessment, the CKA testing process, look like for credentialing?
Yeah, and you know what? And I'm thinking back to the questions you asked before, and I didn't really answer it completely in that. And I'm sorry, I get excited about some things.
It's okay.
I go off. But so there are so many credential holders worldwide. I think people are really attracted to getting the certification because it really, it's a process that's been around a long time, and it really verifies who you are as a coach, that you have, you're able to coach at a certain level, and it's not just any run-of-the-mill coaching credential that's out there. Ours is very well vetted, and it's gone through a lot of rigor in its process of years of getting to this standard. And I will tell you that more and more people around the world are using it. They're coming in, and it's a real differentiator, if you will, in the marketplace, because it really kind of separates yourself from someone who says, okay, I've got a credential, I have a credential, and here's what it is, versus somebody who says, I don't have a credential, nor have I ever completed any coach training experience. So that's a really big, that's a big transformation. That's a big change. You asked specifically about the CK, which is the Coach Knowledge Assessment, which is the online examination of 155 questions that are all taught in accordance to the ICF standards, that all adhere to the ICF standards in the questioning, which are multiple choice, and you have to have a 70% to pass. Nice. And I think the pass rate is fairly, high, 70–80%. Don't quote me on that, but it's and it's being administered around the world. I will say this, that ICF has slightly changed its core competencies, and we're going to release a new examination process. And if I start talking too much about it, I may tell you the wrong thing, and I don't want to do that. You can find out more on our website about it in under the credentialing tab. But it's going to happen sometime in 2022, early 2022, that whole process.
Nice. Well, and if you're changing, we're changing with it. So if you guys change any of the stuff that you need to do in order to pass that, we're going to follow along with it. And we adjust our training to make sure that we get people the knowledge they need to really be able to pass that. Yeah. We had a wonderful question come in, and Shervette, I hope I said your name correctly. And she wrote, I want to be a business coach. How does the ICF equip me to do so in that space? I think that's sort of a two-part, because it has a little bit to do with your coach training, and then along with Shervette. Thank you, Shervette. Appreciate that. And then a little bit now with the ICF. So let's kind of take that ICF piece first with business coaching.
So so a lot of coaches that come in today are business coaches. We have a community practice for executive coaches, career coaches. and I'm going to miss a couple along the way, but it's definitely a space that we're quite familiar with, and I'm going to take a stab and say a large part of our membership are in that space and quite successful. So I would say, as long as you take the correct training, and that's the focus of yours, and you may have a really great business background, having worked for a corporation, that it may really assist in your pursuit of an ICF credential, membership credential. And I'm going to turn it over to you,
me.
Grace,
well,
on anything on how you guys teach.
So Sherwette's kind of put in a little bit more of a follow-up. I'm experienced in customer experience and business consulting, but I've never done coaching. And that's exactly where coach training is going to come in. Because the thing is, when it comes to coaching, what you need to be an expert in is that coaching piece. And that's where the, recognized program that you choose is going to teach you the skills that you need. And from there, once you go through your coach training, especially like with our program, you can take this training and it gives you the ability to be able to coach anyone on anything. That's the beauty of this. But now for choosing a discipline is where you want to take that more to the business side of coaching. And then we teach part of that as well. And then once you get certified, you can then go to the ICF and you can build your credentials up with them. And that actually leads into the next question that I had too. So what are the requirements for credentialing? I get this one a lot myself.
So I don't really want to go into it too deep, but there are 3 different credentials, but certainly the one that most people start out with is the ACC credentials. And the credential requires that you complete a coach training program. In this case, it's 60 hours. And if you're completing iPEC's certification program, the process is pretty much turnkey to apply for that ACC. You also have to have 100 hours of coaching experience, so client hours. And then if you've taken the certification all the way through, or sorry, the training all the way through the certification process at iPEC, I'm using you guys as an example because we're talking.
Thank you.
That you would just need submission of your training certification, the 100 hours of client experience that you're going to just attest to. Because of GDPR, we're no longer asking for you to submit all the names. You'll keep those just in case there is an audit by ICF. And then you'll complete the coach knowledge assessment, which is CKA for short. And then you'll be awarded your ICF ACC credential. And I want to say one more thing that's really cool. And I know you guys have this as well, Grace, and that is the certification badges, the digital badges that we are having now that are everywhere. They're ubiquitous all over, LinkedIn, and oh boy, they're just a lot of fun. I really like them.
Makes it so much easier to be able to see where somebody went through coach training, and just, it's through the we use it through the Credly system. So once somebody gets certified, it can add in their iPEC certifications. It could add in all 3 that you get through our program. We had a great question that came into the Q&A box, and Don, this is going to be a really good one for you. Can organizations become accredited to offer specific training for a specific coaching area? And the follow-up part to that, our nonprofit works with many interns and would love to offer certifications for our students after they completed the required training.
So you're asking about, just so I'm clear.
Could a company come to the ICF to get accredited to teach coaching themselves as a nonprofit, I guess?
Provided they had their own curriculum that was theirs only and met all of our standards, and there's an application fee, and you'd be determined at what particular level of designation that we would give you. There's 3 different designations. I'm not going to get into that right now for that accreditation. But yes, you could actually do that as well. So that would be up to you.
That's a great answer, because I wasn't sure. I mean, I've seen where companies have gone in and they put down, ICF accreditation pending. So they're in the process of getting their programs recognized and accredited through the ICF. So makes perfect sense. And I hope we were able to answer that question for you. Here's a great one too. I've been coaching forever. Can I count those hours from before beginning my training program?
Unfortunately not. No.
I hate to say that answer too.
It's a tough one. It is a tough one because I know a lot of people think that they, really had great coaching that they were providing, but the way the policy is written, and I don't see it changing, is that you have to at least have started the process going down that training program and completing that training program before you can start counting coaching client hours. And just to be specific on this, that any client hours that you do earn have to be done outside of the four walls of the coaching program you're completing, in this case, iPEC. It has to be, it can't be included in any program's curriculum. You can't use those coaching hours.
Here's another question. Is paid coaching experience a prerequisite for ICF accreditation? Or can I be or can it be volunteer client coach experience?
So you can use a certain amount of pro bono coaching hours, but there is a requirement for 70 paid hours of coaching experience in terms of the 100 necessary for the ACC.
Yes. So we had a follow-up. So 100 hours required outside of the iPEC. And like with this one, it's kind of a combination of both. It's coach experience hours and then your pro bono coaching that Don had just mentioned. But there's a difference between coach training hours and coach experience hours. So you're going to get your coach training hours through the iPEC program. The 100 hours that Don was referencing are really your experience hours. So that's that combination of the 70 paid and the 30 pro bono to get you to that 100. So it's a little bit of both. Anything else you want to add to that one?
No, that's it.
Okay. Now we had a follow-up question. How can I get clients? This is something that we get a lot.
You know, what's interesting is we do a lot of surveys here to members, and we ask them, do you think ICF should be in the space of providing you or going out actively getting you clients? And it's almost overwhelming. I want to say 75% say no. I mean, just flat out. Now, that's not to say people, ask, and I know it's just not a place where we've gone. We do have a credential coach finder for members who also possess one of the ICF credentials. And I know there's a lot of businesses and end users who go in there to not only verify who their coach is and their credential, but also submit. They hire people out of there, basically, is what goes on. Yeah.
I think a lot of times for us too, in the space of being admissions coaches, people will ask, well, how do I get clients? I always like to tell people, let people know what you're doing. Start to spread the word, because there's people that you have in your first connection. So those would be the people that you'd want to tell. Then you let those people tell people in their connection. Word of mouth is really key. And I think, your first client will probably come in the most unexpected place. Like one of my friends, she got it at a Bed Bath & Beyond store. Just after she left her first 3 days of training of Mod 1, it was the cashier. Started having a conversation with them because it seemed like the cashier was not having that great of a day, and it worked out perfectly. That person became her first client. It was really cool. We do have another follow-up question. This is great. Can candidates receive any credit through licensure, counseling, social work, or doctoral coursework? I'm pursuing a PhD in industrial and organizational psychology. I think I know the answer to this, Don, but
go right ahead.
I would say no, not with the ICF, because they don't look at the background. This is really coach training moving forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Wow, I feel good about knowing that answer. Looks like we have another question too. After iPEC coach training, I have to do 100 hours outside and then apply for ICF certification. It has to be paid. How do we prove that they paid? You want to take this one?
Yeah. So you will complete a attestation form saying that you have completed 100 hours of coaching experience, 70 of which would be with paid clients, the others through pro bono or other means. Bartered coaching even fits in the paid column as well, and that you would keep those clients in a secure location that you'd want to use anyways, as potentially you would build to another credential or elevate to another credential level. But you want to have those on file somewhere just in case you are audited by us.
I love that answer. Now, this kind of made me think of a question.
Yeah.
So let's say this person goes on and they get their ACC credential and they have those 100 hours. Can they build from the 100 to get to the PCC, or do they have to basically start over at 0 and then go?
No, so that's a great question. Thanks, Grace. It's 500 hours for the PCC, and you can use the 100 hours that you had completed for the ACC toward the PCC.
I love that
application. Yeah,
that's really cool.
Because
we just had a follow-up question. What is the PCC? And that is actually the next level credential. So as Don mentioned, the ACC, that's the Associate Certified Coach. The PCC is the Professional Certified Coach. And then the highest is the MCC, the Master Certified Coach. So all of those are going to build with more of your coaching experience, because you get the training through the program, like especially with ours, okay? We're going to give you enough training to get you to the MCC. So in essence, what you're going to be logging are those paid and pro bono hours that you need to get for the ICF in order to build those credentials up. And hopefully that helps. We're getting great questions today, and we have another one. If I'm a coach working internally, oh, hang on. The question came in too quickly. If I'm a coach working internally at an organization, what is considered paid coaching? For example, if I developed a coach program and I'm delivering it, is that considered paid coaching? Or is it pure one-on-one or group coaching that is considered paid?
So there are some stipulations around this, and it's a great question. Thank you. However, it wouldn't be the delivery of the coaching. No, that's you're in the training space there. But when you are, yes, coaching one-on-one or even team coaching, and you could coach up to 15 people, but you only count it for 1 hour when all those 15 people are in that team coaching space. And that's the high end, no question. And there was one other thing I was going to say about that. And you cannot, I want to underscore this, you cannot be coaching subordinates. So if they're direct reports to you, it will not count. And you can find more on that on the ICF website under any of the 3 credentialing levels in terms of.
Well, that's good to know. That's really good to know.
Those definitions, yeah.
Okay. We had another great question, and this is something that we get all the time too as a coach training school. How much do we charge per hour? And really, it's whatever you want, essentially, because paid, like Don had said earlier, it could be paid or it could be barter. And when you're bartering, you're getting something for something. And I always like to use this example. Let's say you have a hairstylist, and with the pandemic and all the hair salons had to close down, they weren't making any money. So now that things are opening up, maybe they don't have the amount of money to pay for coaching, but you could swap like a coaching session for like 2 or 3 haircuts. You're getting something for something. Does that make sense? Don, you're smiling. What is that?
So we did have on the 2016 Global Coaching Study, I think it was $231 US per hour. And I say US dollars just because it was taken by people from all over the world. And then it went down slightly in 2020. And it was actually all recorded prior. Everything in the survey had been done prior to the pandemic. So the pandemic hadn't hit yet, but it was just slightly down. I want to say, $10 or something an hour. but yeah.
Do you base it based on like the type of coach that somebody is, or was it just a general study? Are you looking at life coaches or business coaches?
It went out
kind
to
of
the full spectrum. Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Members and non-members. I mean, believe it or not, and it was definitely global representation. And it also was, you know, there are some areas where coaching is a lot less, coaching is a lot more. So,
yeah. And I know we've got about 4 minutes before the end of the call. And I know we have some information that we want to make sure that we're going to put into the Q&A section. So you can, if you want to get a hold of Don, we're going to put ways to get there. It's don.whittle@coachingfederation.org. That name change is still messing me up.
No, it messes me up too. Trust me.
And they're going to be put in a section of how to book a call with an admissions coach. So if you want to have any questions about the coach training program specifically, go ahead and do that. We do have an upcoming coaching office hours, which will be next week on the 14th at 1 o'clock Eastern. And that's a way for you to sort of just grab a cup of coffee, have a conversation with an admissions coach and one of our graduates and talk a little bit about the program. We did have another question that got thrown in real quick.
Okay.
Hang on one second. I want to make sure that we can get to this. PCC in Ohio also stands for Professional Clinical Counselor. How does one demonstrate or specify coaching versus clinical counseling in a signature endorsement? That's perfect. That's a great question.
So great question. I think you'd want to certainly keep those separate in your designations. I think the PCC digital badge is a great place as well, because if you click on that, you can see a lot more explanation about the PCC credential and what it means.
Yeah, and I think it will reference the ICF to that too on that digital badge, right? Yeah. Correct. So it'll be a way to keep that differentiated separate for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we hit everything.
Very cool.
Don,
Wow.
Any other final words you want to add in?
No, I hope to see you all as ICF members, and I wouldn't be on this call without our good partners at iPEC, and love their program and just can't say enough about the great work that they do. So shout out to them.
Well, we really appreciate that too. And this is not the first time we've met with Don. We do this, every so often, because it's really nice, because as a program, we do partner with the ICF, and we do want to make sure that we can answer those questions, from the ICF perspective and not just from what we read or what we know. So it's really important for us to have that connection and just make sure that we can get any potential students the details that they need about both. And this is why we do these calls. So really appreciate you guys joining us. And thank you so much, Jess, for being on the back end and making sure that we were able to get all those questions answered. If anybody has anything, just put ways up to get a hold of us, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
everybody.
Grace. Take care, Don.
Jess.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
Bye-bye.
meeting you.